Welcome, everybody. We'll be starting shortly when Em will introduce us.
Hi, hello everybody. We're just going to wait a couple more minutes for people to gather. Mary Rose. Hi, Uma.
Hi, good morning or afternoon, wherever you are.
Good day.
Good day. It's afternoon for me, and it's morning for and Kathy.
We thought that this may be the last Zoom or one of the last Zoom of a long week. So happy you're here with us. Thank you. Maybe we'll wait another minute or two. And if you want to start thinking about the checking that we came up with, since we're probably one of the last meeting of a long week, and that a break is coming for some of us. If you want to think about 3 words that you hope this break of the week or weekend is going to bring to you in terms of maybe emotion or activity. And if you want to share them with us in the chat, you can also just say where you're calling from, where you're grounding, and the 3 anticipation words for this weekend. Hello, Christine.
Hi there.
Thank you, everybody. I think we should start slowly, right? Yep. So thank you for choosing to spend this moment with us. I'm Emmanuelle. I'm part of the Weaving Lab. This is how Kathy and Simon met. And Bev, who is in the background. But Bev is one of the co-founder and host of Phyto Network, and she kindly, with Brandon, invited us to showcase Simon's prototype of Common Grounds today as part of our storytelling, story giving practice. I was really excited because I'm working on storytelling as a way to heal, and I'm more and more going for the story healing. And I think Simon's practice could be an interesting tool. Simon practice could be an interesting. Oh, great. Thank you. Recording. Hello, everybody. So thank you for being here. And now this practice is something that Simon has been offering to different groups. And today is another moment of gathering information on how people are feeling and reacting and learning from the practice. So here we are gathered, and I'm going to pass it on to Kathy for a short introduction on our group collective.
Hi, good morning, good day. It's morning for me. And we all came together. I've always been a community weaver, and I am also a weaver of fiber. And I happen to be a writer. And so when I found the community, the Weaving Lab, through the Aspen Institute's work, there's a weaving lab. And when I became a part of that, I was so excited to learn that there was actually a place where people who thought and did work like me gathered, because it's hard to find people that share that same mindset. And so there was a subset group where I have since connected with Simon and Em. That was a writers group within that weaving lab. And then we've also connected past that with the FIDO network. And everybody is a writer. And we may write journal pages or poems or emails or books. But our coming together in this group has allowed me to develop that confidence and actually step into I am a writer, and we come to a place where we get to think a little deeper about our why, what we're doing, how we connect, how we tell our stories, and how our words matter. At the end, you're welcome to contact any of us and come and be a part of that group. We just take time to reflect on our work, how we're thinking, what we're doing, and what that looks like when we put it out into the world. We've done some collaborative writing. I got to do a really great collaborative writing piece with Abdul Rahman, who is in Nairobi, and we both wrote and had so much more in common than we did apart, and we use writing to bring us together. So here we are today, and I've always been attracted. Simon's one of those writers that can write, and eloquence pours out of his page, and it's like, oh, how can I follow that? And I learn that we all just show up differently, and no matter how our words come out, they matter and they're important, and we're here to witness them for one another. So I will leave you with that, and I will pass it over to Simon so we can embark on our journey together today.
Oh, thanks for your kind words, Kathy. That's great. Yeah, and it was really nice to meet Kathy and Em in the Weaving Writers group. I mean, it really helped me in many ways, so would recommend it. Particularly on the spontaneous side, because I'm a kind of like deep thinker writer, and I like writing PhD thesis a long time ago and academic papers. I think, oh, come on, we've got to be more creative and more imaginal, and that's what we're trying to do today. And the point of this exercise is to explore, experience how it may be possible to find common ground between two perspectives, but avoiding the emotionally laden matters around narratives and belief systems. Because I found that so often, like you have a fixed belief system, you have a fixed story, and those stories and belief systems often clash, and we're trying to get beyond that, underneath that. And I use the word ontology and ontological common. You don't need to worry about the word ontology unless you particularly relate to ontology, but that's the word I use in a computer, in an information technology way. So it's important to point out this is quite different from the usual kind of conflict resolution practices, because those usually involve, like just helping people listen to each other's stories, listen to each other where they're coming from. And that can be work, but if people are really in different places, that can be quite problematic as well. So I want to try out, and I've just tried it once or twice, and this is going to be really valuable for me, by the way, all this exercise, to get what happens and the feedback. We're deliberately bypassing the story and the beliefs and getting right down to the view of the world. What's real? How do we see reality? And at that level of how we see reality, we're going to try and build bridges between that. Now, And understanding what others mean when they talk about the reality is easier when we're not triggered by, oh gosh, but I've got to look after my own story or my own beliefs. So I think the real value of this is likely to emerge when we discover, in whatever network we are, whatever setting we are in, this kind of differences of approach, differences of worldview, differences of approach, interfering with actually collaborating positively, interfering with positive action together. And that can keep us stuck in thinking about things rather than actually talking about things rather than actually making that common ground so that we can actually move forward. So, and if that happens, what I'm suggesting is that we identify who the different proponents are, who the different people are who have this sort of differences of opinion, differences of whatever it is, and take them through this exercise. But this exercise, of course, we haven't got to people yet who have conflicting views. So this is a practice exercise. It's important to realize we are only practicing here and we're seeing how this method can work. And I'm hoping that this is actually helpful because I haven't seen anybody else do it quite like this. So hopefully that's new for everybody. So to make this exercise work well, we're going to try to find two people amongst us now who share some kind of common aim or vision, but who have different views as to how to achieve that, or different approaches. And if there's too much already, if we already have too much in common, then maybe we can ask one of us to think about somebody they know who disagrees, who has a different approach, because those people can often cause problems in networks because they kind of they're throwing an oppositional point and they might, they sort of clog things up a bit. So so we're going to try to find people here to do exercise.
And so often we agree on the what, but it's the how that gets us confused. So I've seen really great dialogues happen when people are coming in agreeing about that climate change is the problem, or that we should address traffic solutions in a city, but when we get down to the how, that's where some really meaningful conversation can happen too.
Great. Thank you, Kathy. That's a very helpful addition there. Thank you. So I think because we're quite a lot of people here, I don't think we've got a lot of enough time really to do this out loud. So what I'm going to invite you to do, please, again, you've been very good and put some words in the chat already. Thank you for that. Now, I'm going to ask you, if you're willing to do this, you don't have to, but if you're willing to do this, I'm going to ask you to write briefly. I'll just pop this in the chat again. What is your practical interest around which you would like to work together with others or be together with others? And what is your general approach to this? What is your practical interest? Any practical interest which you would like to work together with others. If it's just your own thing, that's okay. I mean, you don't need to collaborate, so there's no point in doing this. There's no need to do this because you're just going to do it by yourself. But if there's something that you're interested in that you really would like to see taken forward, and you would like collaboration, then can you just please have a little think about that, have a little reflect about that for a minute. And when you're ready, just write in the chat what it is that you would like to work together with people on, and what your general approach is. And when we find two people who share a practical interest and have different approaches, what we'll do, just to introduce you to the structure of the rest of this session, we're going to split into two groups, and we're going to have those two people are going to be the focus people in each of the two separate breakout rooms. Each of those people is going to tell a story. We're going to get to a story prompt in a minute, a narrative, while the others listen and keep them away from theorizing, tell a story. We're going to ask questions to try to draw out the beliefs in that story, implied by the story, and then get down to, as Soundworld has kindly put in the chat, a set of concepts and categories that shows properties and relations between them. Just get down to your basic parts of reality as you see it, relevant to what you're talking about. So that's what we're going to do. And then after that, we're going to spend half an hour or so in two breakout rooms and then come together, and we're going to help those two people see if they can see what their common ground is. And that brings back the theme of the title of this whole session: find the common ground, finding firmer common ground to work together, to collaborate. So let's see what we get next to. Okay. I'll just have a quick flip over the chat.
There's a lot of great stuff coming in the chat, Simon.
Brilliant. Thank you.
It's going to be hard to choose.
Now, what I'm going to invite you to do is all of you look in the chat and see if you can, as well as putting your own in, see if you can find somebody who shares a general idea of what to do, a general aim or vision or something, but you think might have a different approach. So do please put in the general approach that you want to take, what the general approach, the theory of change, if you like. But also, what is the aim of your, okay, that last one I can see, you've got an approach. What is the actual overall aim? So the two things there, the overall vision, the overall aim, and the approach you're taking.
I mean, it's quite hard to match logic levels here, right? Like, because depending on how abstract we go, we'll of course match at some point. So
yeah. So just use your intuition and just have a look and just use your intuition and just have a feel of, oh, right, I would like to work with that. I'm going to do the same. I'm going to look down. And actually, if anybody wants to speak up, let me just invite as well. If anybody wants to speak their contribution here, just popcorn it. Just speak it out now, if you like. The floor is open. And particularly if you feel that if you see somebody else that's interesting to you, but maybe you have a different approach, let's call it out straight away. See if we can just give it some time to just imagine this through. And feel free to unmute and just speak as well, if that's easier for you.
Just looking at the chats, like the two that are interesting to me. I'm sure the skill set is because they're probably skilled. I'm not. Is Lucian and Marin. You know, both of those are interesting to me.
you mean like each for themselves, or like as a opposition? As a pair.
Oh, not opposition.
Okay.
No, not as a pair. Like, no.
Okay.
No, okay. That's great, thank you. We also are looking for a pair. We're looking for a pair to take separately who might have a difference in their worldview, in their ontology, the way they see reality, and as an exercise. So have a look at that again.
I'm not sure if me and Maren have a different worldview ourselves, but my point is around the HR function and learning and development people who I work with a lot are they think about, we hire individuals as talent and we assess them and we develop them and we promote them, and so how you create change is focused on multiples of individuals rather than what's going on amongst them. And I think, Maren, when you're talking about facilitating deep learning spaces, in my head I'm imagining it's very relational in terms of what's happening between us and amongst us, which I find the people that I work with have a hard time doing.
Yeah.
Multiples of individuals.
Yeah, I can see that overlap, definitely. Yeah, so that might work as a pair
It
with
would, because it's
different
a
approaches.
different approach. Sound world, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
So I think Emmanuel, her approach is quite similar to mine. Or like an imaginal world. So what I would say in a line is, the West, in its pursuit of completeness, is always going to stay incomplete, and the East, in its approach of incompleteness, becomes complete. So that's a belief statement. At the same time, I think when I'm speaking about language and when she's speaking about imagination, I think there is an overlap between the two, and she's also talking about play. I'm also talking about play. I don't know if that makes it a pair or how does that work, but I see.
Yeah, I felt like that. I felt like that too. So that's perfect. We have a lot of pairs, but we also needing, and we knew that maybe it could happen that we're not finding the other view. And if we don't find the other view, Simon, we can also role play it, right? Yeah, let us know.
Sure.
The sound world, yes.
Okay, so we've got Lucian and Maren. Do you feel? Are you up for this? Would you like to go through this exercise? Or
Opposing views.
Sorry?
Are we taking opposing views?
Well, it's not so much taking opposing views. It's just like exploring. If you have different approaches, we're going to separate the two people out into different rooms. We're going to explore the different whole approaches and belief systems and worldviews, and then we're going to bring it back together at this ontological, this how you see the world, how you see reality level.
What I might do then, I'm thinking for that contrast, is if I take the place of a learning and development person that thinks very individualistically and doesn't want to do the group facilitation, just wants to think of individuals, and then Maren, you can maybe take a more relational group sort of approach. Does that make sense?
The point is that we both want relations, but our how differs, right? Like where we start to work with the world differs. So I think you could just be yourself. And I think, I feel like these role plays, they're never really juicy. Like, I would love if we could a real exchange.
Great.
There.
Okay. Let's do this then. But okay, so now the next step is we want a question now. We want a prompt for a story. And I think it's really important that we stay in the imaginal and not just talk about the theory that behind what we're talking about. We actually have a story. So I want to encourage us all to think. Let's think collectively of a question. If anybody can pop up, just speak it. A question which prompts a story. And two examples which I have in my mind are, tell the story of a situation where something happened either for or against what your aim, towards, something that really sticks in your memory about something which was really aligned or really unaligned with what you're trying to do, your aim, your vision. Or alternatively, looking for the future, you might know the history of the future kind of exercises, where you put yourself you imagine yourself 10 years in the future, and you tell the story of how your approach has created a positive change in the world. Does that make sense? So we're looking for a prompt for a story, not a prompt to tell us about the theory about it. Prompt for a story, prompt for a narrative. Any ideas? It's no hurry, by the way, but just like, what about a story about why this became important to you? Possibly.
I'm not sure if this is on target or not, but I keep thinking of the Indigenous one because I am Indigenous, and I hear a lot within ecological movements similar to what Mary Rose had written. And so I'm kind of just thinking of the counter to that narrative is that the word in there that I'm thinking of being a splitting point would be the conservation piece, because some people look at conserving as like the human need to help nature, whereas Indigenous perspective would be more like that's not our role except just to take care and like step back and let her be. And so that's the only thing I'm thinking of from a narrative perspective that strikes me.
Very interesting. Thank you. So just while you think about that, I'll just remind you what we're trying to do. We're trying to find a story which you really feel, a story which you can really identify with, which tells a story of something which is important to you, like all these things which you've said about are important to you. And we're going to split into two groups, and we only want two people here. We just want the two people, that's all. Two people, and each one of those people, we're going to help that person really unpack that story into what they really believe about underlying the story, and what their view of the reality is underneath those beliefs.
Simon, I just wrote something. Did you see it? When is the moment that you decided that this was important to you? So that would be a story to share. The moment of the shift. But also why? Also the story. Yeah, absolutely. If that was a rich story about, okay, what things came into your mind and how it actually worked through, that would be really great. So any other volunteers? We've already got the possibility of using Lucien and Maren, which would be great. Any other suggestions or volunteers?
So one scupper in this. Sorry, I didn't actually think I might have to disappear slightly before the schedule.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, in that case,
okay.
Fine. Okay.
So
well,
I can't stay on till 5. So if that's going, right. I'm sorry. I should have said that earlier, but it might be.
No, but that's
okay.
That's okay, Lucien. So you can stay for 1 more hour, you said?
No, I can't. I probably need to leave only for about 10 minutes, but at 4:30. Just I need to take 10 minutes out.
Right. Okay. Well, let's see. Okay. Open floor again. Let's try to spend a couple more minutes trying to find a really good example. By the way, Chris Harris there, that was a really good example of a practical interest and approach. Thank you for making that really clear in the chat.
So my imaginal world, my world through play, is going to be made in role play, not in one person's mind. But I'm again saying it out as a belief system. But what I'm imagining is the whole world's imagination comes to the tools that I give, and cumulatively we make a new story for the world. And that's the new language. I have some scientific foundations for what I have, and then I want the world to experiment and play with it. And
So
I'm
your
not sure.
aim, what's your aim?
My aim is to give the world a language, a universal
Yeah,
language, which
but
can
we
help
would
them
need to
talk to
find, yeah,
nature.
but we would need to find somebody else. I don't, that might not work because we probably don't have somebody else whose aim is to give the world a universal language. Nice idea though, thank you.
I see that both Christian and Marin are looking to do facilitation and have very different outcomes. So they both have a what that exists within the situations they've put up, and then it's just the how between the two. And even though the topics are different, the tools could be somewhat the same. And then in that breakdown, it could very much include play, or it could include a lot of the elements that are being seen here. But there is a facilitation foundation between the two that could be working for your premise here.
Right. Would you two be willing to have a go? Yeah, Marin?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, well, okay, that's great. Let's take you two. That's a decision made. And let's just find a question now to prompt your stories. Do any of those questions appeal to you, which people have suggested, by the way? That, like, Marin, you've suggested when and how did you notice this is important to you?
Not that I know how to answer it, but I thought it was better than the why. The why I always find difficult to answer. I have no idea why.
Yeah. Absolutely. No. When and how is absolutely great because that is more of the story and the narrative. Fantastic.
But I'm also wondering whether we should take a question that's a bit further away from our approach, like more about where in your daily life do you you know? But I don't have a good question yet. But maybe we should also not be perfectionist on this.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. Lovely. Okay, well, let's work with that. Let's just see how we go. Okay, you've got a feel of the questions, both of you. So what we're going to do is we'll split into two, and we're going to just try telling a story, and then we'll be keeping on track. Us as the organisers of this will be keeping on track to tell the story and not to get deflected into theory. So we have two breakout rooms. Do you all have those breakout rooms on your?
Hold on, just I have them open, and they're named by one is Christian and one is Marin. So
brilliant. Thank you very much.
Just pick the room, end up going in. Mary Rose, you have a question?
Yes, could you state the two different approaches again? I'm not following.
In a way, actually, you just have to. It doesn't actually matter. Like you can just choose any one and just go into that and find out when you're there. So.
Oh yeah, but I'm just thinking why there's a difference in approaches around facilitation. I'm just asking those to be restated.
And so in Christian's, I noticed that he's looking to do collaboration with other facilitators to re-examine the look of how people have a relationship with money. And the collaboration is not fully defined. And Marin, as I see it, is looking at more of creating efficiency, but practicing almost that deep learning art of hosting kind of gathering space. You're welcome.
Thank you for the question, Mary Rose. Simon, can I just add something? I mean, I know that in each breakout, we're going to give a little bit more explanation, but Christian is going to be in a breakout, Marion is going to be in another breakout, and then they're going to tell us their story. So we're going to listen to them, and then one of us is going to volunteer to take notes. And then from that little gathering and exchange, or mostly listening, deep listening, we're going to have 10 to 20 words that have come up from the share that we will bring back to the main room. So that's the idea.
Yeah.
If anybody else has more questions, they will be answered in the breakout too. Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, I suggest I go to Marin's story and you two can go to Christian. Is that okay? Right, so everybody please just pick. It really doesn't matter which one you go to. So just pick whichever one you like. You're not going to tell your own story. You're going to help that Christian or Marin expand on their story, really get down to the worldview. Okay. Any questions about how to do that? And this is going to be a really interesting part because we're going to practice how to actually get underneath the story down to the level of. So please go ahead and choose your breakout room now. Does anybody need help choosing? Does anybody need help moving to a breakout room? I can move you if you need to.
And Em, I'll join you in a minute. I'm going to stick and make sure the breakout room part works well.
Great. Okay. Thanks. Oopsie.
Sorry, should there be an option on my screen or something? Or?
I put, yeah. Where would you like to go? I'm happy to help you.
I don't mind actually because I'm quite interested in a random world which is not mine, and actually, so I don't.
Off you go.
Thank you.
And then M, I'm going to get you in. I don't know why. Emmanuel.
I was staying with you and Christian, right?
Yeah, but I don't see that I can assign you. Martin, assigned to Marin. So right now, you are not showing up as someone I can assign.
Because I'm in a course thing, but I don't have the breakout on my screen. So.
And that's what I'm saying. I can't assign you into a breakout, and I don't know why. I have one, and so I've divided everybody up. There's nobody in with our people in the Christian group, so I'm going to go in, but I can assign everybody, but you are not here as someone I can assign. Can you, I'm going to go tell them that I'm trying. Can you, I don't know why everybody was able to.
Don't worry, just go in and ask Bev. It's because I'm co-host, I think, or host. Don't worry. Go in.
Maybe you can make yourself join, but on a phone, you can't. Here, Christina.
Hi. Sorry,
Hi.
I fell out.
That's okay. I am.
My internet connection is not that good.
Okay, and perfect. And then I put you should be able to join a room. And then M, do you see where you could just hit join? Anywhere.
Don't worry about me. I don't think I can because I'm a host or something, but I'm just asking. What about Juan?
Okay, and I'm gonna hit join. Juan's in a room. He let me know he is transitioning. I put him in Marin's room. He just needs to find how to hit the join button. So Bev is managing the Christian group. I'm going to jump in so one of us is there, and I don't know how to move you, and she's in Christian's group.
So I think I just asked her if she could bring me here because I think I can with the hosting stuff.
Okay.
Don't worry, just go.
great. Yeah. Okay, everybody, welcome back, and thank you for the people who are able to stay. That's really nice for you to be able to stay on and see how we get here. So, in the chat, can the other group? I'll just put my own. I'll just put Maren's the work. Oh, thank you. That's great. And we've got I'll just put some words we've got here from. There we go. So let's just spend a brief minute having a quick look at that, and then right. So the next step in this is that we are going to support Christian and Maren exploring what their common ground is. And let's just see if we can actually put together I will do this, and other people are welcome to do as well, put together some common ground in terms of like, what do we think is the common view? So have a look at each other's lists there, and people in the group have a look at the other group's list. And then, thank you, Martin. What I suggest we do is, like, either of you, Christian or Maren, ask the other one, what do you mean by that? Have a go. Or do you mean, like, imagine you have an idea of what the other person might mean. Let's just see if we can work through that. Have a go.
I've got, like, I'm looking at the list and I'm sort of picking the words that from Maren's list that resonate for me. And I would go with, what do you mean by energy?
That's a big question. I mean, I guess in context of the story, I meant, I said there was energy in this, in these meetings. So I felt like, yeah, that's not so easy to answer. I felt like there was a drive to that. There was like there was focus, there was attention, there was like flow, like, you know, it's I felt there was enough energy for this in this format to continue, that I would keep attracting people. But I might use the word differently in other contexts a bit. Like, I think I also said it gave me energy. No, but I think it was the meetings. Yeah, I don't know. What's energy for you? I think you have the same word, right?
Yeah, you've got the word energized. So
energized.
Yeah. So for me, it also, the word can have different meanings. But I think the word energized there was, you know, when people, it's talking about like synergy in relationship, or when you get sort of excited to work on something together with somebody. So I think that usage is very similar to it. Yeah. So that motivation was, I didn't make a big thing. Oh, yeah, we've both got motivation in the list. What
Can you
was
explore
motivation?
that?
I have to. Okay, what's in the beginning? I'm trying to think where I said it in the. I don't remember actually. Do you remember where I said it? But I can also. I mean, for me, it was. I think. Yeah, I don't remember saying it, but I guess I was very motivated then to follow up on these formats because I felt there was something in it. And I also saw that people were motivated to come. I'm struggling to relate to the word right now a bit.
It's okay.
But for me, it's something like it's something I'm drawn to something, right? Like there's I'm drawn to something, and like I have a strong sense of urgency and importance and joy in doing it.
For me, it came up differently. It was like I was asked the question of like, how do I accommodate different people have different experiences, ways of experiencing the world, and one of the frameworks that I have that I can work with is the Enneagram, which really looks at like different core motivations of people. So for me, the word motivation there was in my sort of story or explanation was more of a reminder to me that not everybody does things the way I do things. So it was a way. It was a reminder that I need to be more offer more different modalities for people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's also a share or one share something on the chat. Do you want to come up one?
Yeah, please do.
One or me? What?
I'm not sure if one can speak, but he shares something in the chat for you guys.
Yeah.
Human connection and relationships, systems thinking. None of us said that, but you can feel it in there, maybe. Yeah. I'm struggling a bit if we're staying with the language or if we're going into the concept.
No, try.
area.
I mean, the point is to find common ground. And if you can find common ground in beliefs, then please give it a go. Because I'm wondering, see, the thing which strikes me really strongly is that the words I see from Marin are more to do with the kind of economic, the economic, political, the how do we get society together, or if you like. And I think that the ones I see from in your side, Christian, are more to do with the individual psychology, I think, if I get those right. So that's quite interesting to me as to whether, like how those two, can we find some common ground there? Is that what's the common ground between those two, because they are quite different, sort of like quite different views.
What about the connection between people? What do you mean by that?
Yeah. I guess there can be, for me, there can be different different layers to it, obviously, but I guess in a way it's something like seeing yourself in the other person in some way, there's a part of you that you can connect to, or like a part of something you share or something. And language or communication is kind of a communication much bigger than being much bigger than language. It's like a means, I guess, to to get there. However you communicate. Yeah, I guess. I mean, these big terms. For me, it's like a basis on which we can be empathetic and we can actually relate, and we can also build on each other's ideas. Like actually, combine our different experiences and perceptions of the world into something that's bigger than what we see on our own.
Okay, I'm going to just jump in here, if that's okay, and just say let's start reflecting on this process, because I've got a lot to learn to it. I've got a lot to learn about how to manage this process. And one of the things that I'm seeing straight away is that we don't have a lot of, maybe that we haven't got the sort of clear, we haven't got a clear common aim here. I think that's one thing that I'm noticing. We haven't got a kind of clear, okay, we both want to do this. And so that leads to a kind of, okay, this is my practice, my worldview, this is my practice, my worldview, and we haven't found the kind of connection point, really. How do we do that better?
I mean, one way to go would be to move one logical level upwards, right? Because I'm quite sure that Christian and I and anybody in this room kind of aspire to something similar, however we would describe it. Yeah, but that might, I wonder if, the thing is, if you think about nonviolent communication, I would think like, if you actually agree, if you're just disagreeing about strategy, but not about where you want to go, I don't actually know how big the disagreement will be if it's already clear that we kind of want the same thing. Then it's usually easy to say, okay, you do your contribution, I do my contribution. Unless we are kind of forced by some structure to agree on something like.
Absolutely, and I think that's that's a really, really valid perspective from my point of view. We can all have our different contributions to the same end. That's not really collaboration. That's just sort of alignment, I suppose. And where this technique, where I see the potential for this technique that I'm trialing out, is where people are really trying to collaborate on something directly. If you did collaborate on something, what would it be, you two? Any guesses?
Simon, then I have a question for you.
Okay, well, briefly, while the other two think of how they would collaborate, if you make it really quick, thanks.
So I know you were with Gathering of Tribes, if I'm not wrong. Gathering of Tribes. Yeah. So did this technique really work there?
I didn't try it there. wasn't formulated really. But you too, Christian and Maren, how would you think, if you've got the common aim, you've common sort of vision in one level, how would you actually work together?
No, like I do actually find is so I didn't have to do the hard work of coming up with my list, but and you're right, you can tell the two lists are sort of in very different places. But for me, it's really interesting to sort of be able to look through and find common words and then use that as a starting point to say, oh, what do you mean by that? I don't know. It's like the way to find the commonality is we have, I don't know, this is dumb, like, but we have some common words which mean different things to us. And I think that we could still find some commonality, even though, which is probably the opposite of what you're trying to get to with your tool.
I mean, I can absolutely relate to your list of words, Christian. I would use them to tell a different story. Like these are all words I would use. Like I have no. I mean, I think that they're just words, right? I mean, that's what we figure out, and then there are like ideas or concepts or whatever you want to call it behind that. And they're always context bound, right? Like in one context it means that, and in the other context it means that.
Nice.
And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think what I would take away from this tool is to kind of be attentive to these words, to the language that's used, and if there's a term that I also often use, maybe invite somebody to go deeper level. So like, what does that actually mean to me? Like semantics, for example, what role does it play? Why is it important to you? Like that can definitely establish a deeper connection, I think. And also when I facilitate change processes, I've learned to listen super attentively to the organization and the people I'm working with and use their words when I ask questions. So there is no, ideally, I mean, there's no, the least irritation possible when I use language, like I'm trying to really tune into their language. Yeah.
Great. I'm going to have to break in and say, yeah, sorry, last word, Christian, please, yeah.
This process of them asking me questions about my story really made me conscious that I just have a story. I have a script. Like I have one way of doing it. So if the goal is to get people out of their stories, then this sort of prep process was actually useful for, like it would I realized I'm just living a story and what I was doing. And so therefore I can't be so attached to my way of doing things when I'm talking to Maureen. No,
that's true. So it did immediately get us there, right? It got us into this deeper conversation, especially because I did not listen to your story, Christian, but I was just confronted with your words.
Great. Well, I'm going to say thank you very much to both of you, particularly, and everybody else for helping. Can I hand back to Kathy? Or are you ready to? Great. Thanks very much.
Thank you, everybody.
You're on mute, Kathy, still.
Unmute. There we go.
Yes.
I just want to thank everybody for their presence, their listening, their vulnerability, and this is a prototype that is the beginning of looking at what is possible. It's hard to accomplish any incremental systemic change in 90 minutes, but give us showing up and trying. So I want to leave us with a poem and just have some space to sit with that, and welcome any of you to reach out to us on Fido Network, or if you have an interest in the writing, if you have an interest with Simon's work and questions here, there's a lot of opportunities just to engage and go further outside this this container that we're in. So the poem I'm going to share is called Hard Talk, and it's written by Kim Stafford. What if understanding is a light we glimpse beyond the thorny thicket of difficult conversation? What if polite banter won't get us there, and even civil discourse keeps us here in our old meadow of safety and ignorance? What if it takes a few bruises and scratches to reach that light? What if you and I need to wade in together, talking recklessly, not silent, not shouting, but fierce in listening? Say, how is it for you? Tell me about that. I want to know what I never knew. I need your suffering to erase my denial and my pain to illuminate your path. Ready? Let's begin. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Kathy. That's a really lovely, that's very in tune, very, very in tune. And I just want to say thank you again very much to everybody for being with me and helping me to develop this practice. And I learned, I've only done it a couple of times so far, and I learned so much every time. So thank you. And I'm going to use this experience to help me develop this into something really useful.
Thank you, Simon. Until next time. And thank you, Fito, for inviting us. And thank you, Bev. Have a good weekend, everybody. Thank you.
Great.